There is a method for change here, okay, that has been demonstrated. And as someone who has experienced so much failure of this sort, to basically to basically unlock the class consciousness within the base, to even give people the tools to communicate their desires, to give people some crumb of hope, a semblance of hope, in spite of the endless hurdles that are thrown in your way. Okay, in spite of all of the forces of capital doing everything in its power to try and propagandize the population against the notion that better things are possible. Okay, in spite of all of that, good organizing and good politics should be able to win out. Okay, that is at the heart of the democratic process, even in a bourgeois democracy. This doesn't mean that a revolution will come from reforms, okay? I'm not saying that. A lot of you would rather look at any sort of incremental change in the positive direction as a negative thing. And I kind of understand where people are coming from because they've seen so much defeat. They've only known defeat. They've only experienced loss. They've only experienced an erosion of hope, okay? I understand where you're coming from, but what do I always say? You cannot succumb to nihilism. You have to maintain revolutionary optimism. And a part of that is taking a disciplined approach and then taking in the victories that you get along the way instead of casting them aside and saying, this doesn't matter. This doesn't mean anything. If it didn't mean anything, if it did not mean anything, why do you think all of the forces of capital are using every social tool they have at their disposal, eroding what remains of their political capital to go against this dude? They understand the danger of giving the working class a crumb of hope, but you don't. You think you're going to magically create the revolutionary vanguard in a country that is antagonistic to working class movements, that it has no class consciousness whatsoever. So stop, okay? Take a deep breath. I understand why people are cynical. I get it, okay? That is the reason why I'm restrained and not running around and claiming victory before it happens. But in a country that is at the heart of empire, there will be no magical single-handed approach, like no magical antidote pill that everyone can take where they automatically become class conscious and rebuild the structures necessary to create pressure against capital, the forces of capital. Okay? We have nothing in this country. So no, I'm not going to attack those who are trying to build something, anything. Okay? And I hope that you guys will understand my position eventually.
Question for leftist friends who think that voting and participating in electoral politics, even on the level, is a waste of time. Why is it important? And that have said, oh, you can't do anything because you got to work with the Albany. What do you say to those people that we're trying to convince today that it is worth it to them to go out and vote in this election?
So I think the key would be that we're not asking everyone to become an electoralist. We're not asking everyone to say that the only way to change the city that we love is through the ballot box. What we are saying is this is 5, 10, 15 minutes of your time. This is one way to bring that future forward. And this is one way to actually tangibly cast your vote in support of a vision of a city that belongs to all of us. And then you can do all of the other organizing that is so critical to winning that future, whether you're organizing tenants, whether you're on the front lines of immigration advocacy, whatever it may be. We need every single way to win the future that we deserve.
Right. And we can go back to hating right after we vote.
Yeah, come on, please.
Go back.
Yeah. I think that you should not stop your criticism of Zohran Mamdani if he is elected, right? That's not what I'm saying at all. If you see something that he's doing that you don't consider to be appropriate, that you consider to be bad or wrong or antagonistic to the movement that you thought he represented, then it is appropriate for you to let your voice be heard. But you also must be cognizant as to why. You also must be cognizant as to why so many people despise this movement. Okay? Why are they so fearful if this movement does not represent even a fraction of change in the appropriate direction? Why? Why have they been so antagonistic? Why haven't they simply said, like, why hasn't Chuck Schumer come out and been like, I love Zohran Mamdani. He is running a campaign of affordability. Why did it take Hakeem Jeffries until the very last moment to say, oh, well, you know, he's all right, I guess? Why? Why is it that the Republican administration, under the guidance of Donald Trump, is actually lending support to someone like Andrew Cuomo? Why is that the case? We have to be more disciplined. We on the left have to be more disciplined. And if you can't find yourself to believe that someone is sincerely advancing the causes that you hold near and dear, then you can at the very least understand why those that are antagonistic are so loud in their response to someone like Zohran Mamdani, who I always say is basically just trying to do modest expansion of pre-existing constructs within our current governance, right? Rent freeze. It's happened before. Fast and free buses. Zohran himself has been able to advance this cause. Why is it that they're so mad about even just a modicum of change in the direction of the working class, like alleviating some of the pains that they experience? Why? Think for a moment. Why they did this to Bernie Sanders? After all, Bernie Sanders is a social fascist, right? Bernie Sanders is a Zionist. He's a social fascist. He doesn't represent change at all. Or at best, he wants to take the super profits that we are extracting from the global south and redistribute it back to the labor aristocracy, you might say. So why is it that there was a faucet, a torrent, an unlimited torrent of hatred launched against him? Perhaps it is because, especially since the Reagan era, but this predates the Reagan era as well, but especially since the Reagan era, the hegemonic neoliberalism has been able to so effectively destroy what remained of a semblance of hope for a better future for the working class, was so effectively silenced, so effectively quashed, destroyed, that even the most modest advancements, even the most marginal advancements in the positive direction for the working class, a campaign on pure affordability alone, receiving any sort of positive coverage, receiving any sort of success is considered terrifying. I have a lot of guests today. I haven't brought them on because I want to do my coverage. Okay, there are a lot of people that I was supposed to have on, but the reason why I haven't brought them on is because I want to be able to do the coverage, and it's hard to do it when I have guests here. Okay, so calm down. News chill with the homies. Y'all are crazy. This is one of the, I would say this is for me one of the more important moments in my political advocacy, in my political commentary career.
Mamdani, he represents almost in a pure form the class struggle. You know, the famous line by Karl Marx in the beginning of the Communist Manifesto. The first line is, "The history of all hitherto existing society is the history of class struggles." The history of all hitherto existing societies is the history of class struggles. And we're seeing in the Mamdani campaign, it's clearing the air. You can't say a fellow named Mamdani is weak on race questions, ethnic questions, religious questions. It's not going to work. So it's a straight out class struggle. His campaign was just like Bernie's. Bernie's was about affordability, and that's Zohran Mamdani's about affordability. But in this case, you can't use any of the woke weapons against him. because his name is Zohran Mamdani. He's clearly not a old white male, So it's a clear-cut class struggle. They're very scared of it.
All right. I'm worried about Sliwa's chances today. Are the Sliwa heads cooked? Fear not. The proletarian vanguard will be strong today. The Sliwa heads, Curtis Sliwa heads, if you're in line, stay in line. Okay? Sliwa sweep is imminent. I swear the anti-woke stuff has cooked some brains. Yes, it absolutely has. Curtis Sliwa will be the cat czar. Do not worry. Not that it's valid, but betting markets have Mamdani at 95%. Do not ever show me betting markets. In this broadcast, we stay away from, first of all, in an effort to instill Sharia, even before a potential Mamdani victory, I will tell you that gambling is haram, okay, number one. And number two, fuck the betting markets. The betting markets can suck me from the back, okay? Gambling is haram, and if you do it, I will let the morality police know that you are engaging in this haram behavior, and they will throw you in prison. Do you understand me?
Want a sticker?
Yeah, I have a question. Why do you guys like crime so much?
We don't like
You
crime.
don't? No? So
No.
how do you feel about the NYPD? Yeah, good. No? You like crime? You like radical Islam? You like terrorism? Do you fund the NYPD?
No.
Oh, you don't? You know that Zohran has tweeted multiple times about defunding the police. You want to defund the NYPD?
I do.
Yeah? You do? That's good. I'm so glad to hear that you hate this city.
Oh my God. Oh, amazing. Bro got the slightest whiff of power and went all authoritarian. Who's that, me? Who we talking about?
Saving New York City from socialism? He's gonna bankrupt this city. Good luck. You too. Have a fabulous day.
Oh, so awesome. So awesome. So amazing. All right, we'll get to Dick Cheney in a little bit. Let's continue with the Zomentum. Voters at the polls nationwide across the country. Let's take a look, ladies and gentlemen.
This morning, New York City may be on the cusp of choosing a 34-year-old self-described Democratic socialist with little political experience as its 111th mayor.
Zohran Mamdani is facing off against independent and former Governor Andrew Cuomo and Republican Curtis Sliwa.
While his opponents see nothing but fault, Zohran Mamdani's focus on affordability and a savvy social media-driven campaign striking a chord with voters looking for a change.
We stand on the verge of ushering in a new day for our city.
Mamdani tried to show a common touch, more like New Yorkers than their politicians.
Happy Jews, how we doing?
Visiting a club.
Let's go Knicks! Let's go Knicks!
Watching the Knicks from the nosebleeds, a contrast to his chief rival, Andrew Cuomo, who sat with the current mayor courtside. Cuomo, lagging in the polls, is accusing Mamdani of trying to turn the home of capitalism socialist.
My opponent is a socialist and wants to make New York City a socialist city, and socialism has not worked anywhere on the globe.
At the 11th hour, an endorsement for Cuomo from President Trump, who posted, "You must vote for him and hope he does a fantastic job," and threatening to withhold federal funds from the city if Mamdani wins.
Overnight, Cuomo trying to distance himself from Trump's endorsement.
He's not endorsing me. He's opposing Mamdani.
Mamdani calling Cuomo the president's puppet.
They share the same small vision. They share the same sense of impunity.
Trump called in to campaign events for Republican candidates in Virginia and New Jersey, where a bitter race between Republican Jack Ciattarelli and Democrat Mikey Sherrill is barreling toward the finish line.
You need to go out and vote for Jack Ciattarelli, who's a great guy, a friend of mine.
The Trump-backed Ciattarelli hitting the trail with his son, who returned from serving overseas.
I could not be more excited. The energy up and down the state has been off the charts.
While Sherrill's trying to turn out key Democratic voters.
I believe that with all of you, New Jersey will continue to be a beacon of light and hope for people across the country, across the world, but certainly for people across New Jersey.
A year from the midterm elections, the elections today are an early test of what the country thinks of President Trump and his agenda. They're also a test, guys, for the Democratic Party and whether its future looks more like a moderate Mikey Sherrill or more like Zohran Mamdani. Guys?
Okay, Aaron, thanks. This is our Washington Bureau Chief Rick Klein, also our Chief White House Correspondent Mary Bruce.
I need you guys to understand something. Like, obviously, whoa, I'm getting blasted in the face. Although Zohran has not won yet, and hopefully, inshallah, he will, understand that there are those who are watching closely exactly what the margins will look like, and I can predict with absolute certainty exactly what the messaging is going to look like in the aftermath of this. They've already started. The centrist establishment Democrats have already started talking about, here, yeah, I'll let in the light of the divine, the heaven's mandate into this room. Centrist Democrats have already started talking about how, like, oh, Spanberger has a higher margin of victory than Zohran Mamdani, all this stuff. And they are going to make idiotic comparisons as though we haven't been paying close attention. And many people have not been paying close attention to what's going on in this race. So they have no idea the metric ton of shit that the Mamdani campaign had to deal with, and the very fact that there was a spoiler with a dynastic name still, right, that was running as a real Democrat, even though he was running as an independent. Central Committee says, my official prediction was 56% yesterday with a range of 52 to 60. Reports on the ground reflected the polls missed again, and I think we may be entering landslide territory, but we need to see the early votes before we relax too much. I've read the Michael Lang analysis. I understand where people are coming from. I will not say anything. I already gave you my prediction. I said somewhere in the 55 range, and that the surprising vote would be from the 55 plus category that a lot of people think is supposed to go in Cuomo's direction. But then again, we shall see. I am not going to say anything. I am just saying I'm hoping and I'm praying. There's never been. I'm not exactly a very spiritual person, but I will say that I have been praying to whatever deity is out there. Okay, that's it. I have not. This got me praying to gods, hoping that anyone will listen. Okay. Oh my God. Have you been this emotionally invested in a campaign in years? I haven't. Last time I felt this, I don't want to bring it up. I don't even want to talk about it. But I mean, both Bernie campaigns, especially the moment of hope and optimism that I felt, that I know many of your favorite content creators and podcasters and activists and advocates alike felt in the aftermath of Bernie Sanders' upset victory. That wasn't really an upset if you actually saw the reality on the ground in 2020 in Vegas. But once again, what came after that was something that we all know very well, which is precisely the reason why I will stay the course. I will stay the course, and I will be restrained until the very last moment. Okay? That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, as far as analysis goes, you will see some of the absolute worst, some of the most annoying centrist analysis coming out in the aftermath of this, whichever direction it goes. Okay? God forbid there is a defeat here. They will greatly overemphasize how resounding the voters denied the socialist momentum. If there is a victory, no matter what the margin is, if the margin is above 60%, right? Unlikely, but let's say it's 60% territory. They will say, oh, it's New York. Of course they voted for a socialist. If it's anything, if it's anything in the 5-point range, they will say, look at the tiny sliver that Zohran got. He does not have the popular mandate, that he barely eked out a victory here. He barely squeezed a victory here. They will deny the unlimited money that was dumped into this campaign and the electioneering that took place. Okay? I'm just letting you guys know ahead of time. I have thought of all of the alternatives and I have seen it. They will say, they will try to match what Zohran's election looks like with Omar Fateh. They will make comparisons, even though these are not comparable in the same way, right? Depending on whichever way the Minneapolis vote goes for mayor. And they will do everything they can. They'll tell you what works in New York won't work everywhere else. Okay? They will say that. It's all... Yeah, Edward Isaac Dover, by the way, did this already. If polls hold, Spanberger's looking more likely to clear 50% in a more swingy state than Mamdani is in a city so Democratic that only 6 out of 51 city council members are Republicans. Dems nationally say that matters a lot for thinking what comes next. Even Dan Pfeiffer, the Podjons are up Edward Isaac Dover's ass. Okay? I'm not sure the answer to what comes next will be found in these results, but that's an absurd standard since Zohran Mamdani is running in a three-way race that includes another Dem. They've already started. They've already started with the sinister, okay? And we haven't even seen the results yet. And they've already started with this nonsensical. Michael Lange, with each passing second, I'm more bullish on Zohran Mamdani exceeding 55%. Inshallah, inshallah, inshallah. Manhattan. Allah Nazardan Sak, listen. Manhattan and Brooklyn continue to turn out in droves with lines reported across base neighborhoods. We're pacing a record number of votes. The vibes are screaming landslide. Okay? This person did a literal district by district analysis, and he sees the same day voting that took place as an indication that like it's actually better than his predicted results. He did a block by block voter analysis, and his initial predictions showed 52% for Zohran, and it seems it might even outperform that. Anyway, can we not say this is not a referendum on Dem leadership? Would the Dems be fighting to barely stop the Republicans in Congress if Zohran race was not happening? I think that there is definitely a push in the right direction. What? Red alert. White House prepares to issue executive orders on upcoming elections. I think we should care about the person with the highest percentage. Michelle Wu, momentum. Let's go. I don't know what the that means. And let me tell you, I'm not excited to find out.